Thanks very much. Obviously, no surprise here to officially announce my retirement from the game. It's been a hell of a journey. I've been very lucky over the years to have been involved with obviously a great club, but such amazing people as well. So my journey started at Bulleen Templestowe back in Melbourne when I was 7. Played Auskick before that, and I learned a hell of a lot from some amazing people throughout my junior days at Bulleen Templestowe, Marsland College, playing school footy, and obviously the Oakley Chargers in TAC Cup. Thanks so much to the footy club again for the opportunity to fulfil a lifelong dream of mine. Played about 500 matches in my hallway at home as a kid with my little Hungry Jacks footy, and could never have dreamed of being sitting here 247 games under my belt. I feel extremely grateful for everything that's come my way, and I've got so many thank yous which I'll make sure I get to over the next few weeks. I won't be able to get them all out of the way with today, but finally my family, obviously mum and dad, been there right from day dot like everyone. I think my Oakley Chargers days, I used to have to travel 2 hours twice a week to get to training. A lot of people sit here and talk about the hours their parents travelled, but Dad was always really good at making it my best mate's old man's problem. And obviously finally to my beautiful wife and my 2 kids who are here today, for their support. Footy, I've realised coming to this decision over the last week, footy brings so much happiness and joy to not only us as players but our families as well. So thanks to everyone involved. It's been a good journey, and I'm content sailing off hopefully into the sunset after a couple of wins back part of the year. So looking forward to that. So thank you.
Luke, when and how did you come to this decision?
I don't think there's any exact moment in time you come to a decision like this. For me, it was probably on my mind for a lot of the year about, I wanted to see how the year panned out. And then when I hurt myself against Carlton, obviously the thought process picked up a notch. I said to the boys before, I went around and caught up with Simo on the Sunday night to talk about what my future looks like, and I think deep down I was hoping to get the tap on the shoulder, which I didn't get. I got offered another year, and that made the decision really hard. But fortunate to be in the position to make that decision. But I think when I walked away and reflected on that, I knew my time was probably up. But as much as my last 3 years have been riddled with injury, I'm so grateful that for most of my career I had a really good run at it, and not a lot of players get to say that by the end of their career. So I feel very lucky.
Now that you've made the decision, what do you feel like this morning when you woke up and you're driving here and you know you've got to do this? Are you at peace?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, it's been a big 2 weeks, Rhino. Probably the most draining and emotional of my career, in a good way. As I said, privileged to have the offer to go around again, but I've been fortunate in my life. I haven't had to make too many huge decisions. Some people unfortunately have to make big decisions, losing people and losing jobs and all that sort of thing, and I've been very fortunate. But it's been a big one to weigh up. But I said to the players before that to go around again next year, I wouldn't be able to offer my best version as a player and as a teammate, and I didn't want to leave on that note and do that to our footy club and our fans. So it feels so right, and I feel 10 kilos lighter sitting here now. So I've made the right decision.
How were your emotions telling the players?
I was okay, I think. You have to ask them. I held it together pretty well considering I'm an emotional bloke, and anyone that went to my wedding knows that I was a blubbering mess through that. I was okay, but that's the hardest part. I think Bung might have mentioned it last week. Telling the people that you've been so invested in, and you've made the most amazing memories with, and I've got friendships and relationships at this footy club that I'll have for life. To walk away from that is hard, but it's the end of my playing days. I'm hoping to continue to stay in football and in a coaching capacity at some stage. So look forward to staying involved in the game. But to walk away from your teammates and finally know your playing days are over is hard.
What are some of your proudest moments, Luke, when you reflect on the whole journey?
Funnily enough, I think my proudest moments have been unfootball related. Being able to play with some champions of not only our club but the game, being involved in milestone games, and I remember Coxie's final game at Subi. I think in time, when you reflect on your career, they're the moments you look back and cherish being a part of the most, more than anything you achieved as an individual. So, and that's certainly what I'm going to miss. Being a part of big games going forward, and some of the milestone games that these boys are going to play over the next few years, and hopefully finals not too long. That's what you miss, being a part of it with your mates.
Plenty of big moments on that highlights package, and the grand final is obviously a game where you stood up and played your best. Is that something you prided yourself on?
Yeah, look, I always wanted to be a player who my teammates could rely on, and that never necessarily meant kicking goals or having 30 touches or being best on ground. I always wanted to make sure I went home at the end of a game and had no guilt about the way I'd played. And that didn't mean you were always going to play well. There were plenty of poor games along the way and plenty of mistakes, but I'm pretty content that most weeks I went home and left nothing on the park, and that was the biggest thing for me. And I always think that holds you in good stead in big moments and big games. Simo's always said, you want to be reliable, not remarkable. And I think if everyone does that, you end up playing pretty well as a side in big games.
Have you got anything? How much have you got left in the tank for these last 3 games?
Enough to get me through at my best, Rhino. Yeah. So, I've got enough to get through the next 3 weeks. I think coming to this decision, it'll probably be the most enjoyable 3 weeks of probably my last 12 months. And I'll make the most of it. Yeah, but looking forward to the next few weeks and having a couple more swings.
Final round alongside Bunga, potentially game 250. How special would that be to go out on that note for you?
Well, as I just said, to be a part of guys who you're obviously great mates with, but guys who are champions of the footy club, to be involved in their milestone games is special. So that's been on my mind as well, being there to take part in Bunga's last game, and if we can make it as much about Bunga as we can, that'd be great.
And when you told your kids or your little boy that you were calling time, did he have any pearls of wisdom or any interesting comments for you? He's
actually got Elijah Hewitt's number on his back, so he hasn't had too much trouble moving on pretty quick. I might have had something to say in getting the number 8 on his back, but no, it was a grounding experience the other day. I think I was actually trying to tell my daughter, who's only 2.5, that Daddy's not playing footy anymore, and thought she was running up to give me a cuddle. She ran straight past me to the freezer for an ice cream and couldn't have cared less. So it made me reflect that that the people I care most about in life aren't getting caught up in the emotions of what's going on at the moment.
And look, when you got here, you obviously had a lot of injury trouble at the start, and you had some personal stuff to deal with. I always wanted to know what made you stay here, because you could have gone back to Victoria with a lot going on for you. I honestly think the first day I walked in the club, I felt privileged to rub shoulders with some of the guys who were here. Obviously, Prita was here, Daniel Kerr, Coxie, Bung was already here, but guys who were people I'd watched, through my teen years dominate the game, and so it was a privilege to be a part of it with them. But I remember at Subi Oval, there was all this memorabilia up and down the hallways and on the walls in the players' lounge, and it was all newspaper clippings from their 92 and 94, their 06 flag, articles on Tommy Kemp and Ross Glendenning and legends of the club, and I just felt so a part of the club straight away, and just wanted to be a part of what those guys had done. And obviously going through what I went through when my sister died, you go through that stuff with people like the footy club and your teammates, and I think it builds your connection. And I can honestly say there's never been a second where I've contemplated going anywhere else. Always wanted to be a one club player, particularly for this club, and always wanted to try and do everything I could to make my teammates and our fans proud.
It's been a tough couple of years for the club. How hard is it to walk away at a time like this?
I see the excitement in it. Obviously me and Bung will be
be gone next year, and there's opportunity there for young guys to get more time and exposure to the game. And I look at Bung and I think how sad it is to lose him, but the silver lining is how much better some guys are going to be in 5 years' time from getting more experience. So I think it's all positive. There's guys ready to go. Obviously, my son thinks Huey's ready to go. But yeah, this club's in a good place. I can't wait to see what the next 5 years have in store.
And to speak of your coaching ambitions, do you hope to be in Simo's coaching book next year?
Yeah. Look, I do. I love the club, and I'd love to be around to help the next generation, as I've touched on. And I think there's some good times just over the horizon, and I'd like to be a part of that. But I'm sure we'll discuss that over the next few weeks.
We could do it now, Adam. Is he?
He's in the mix. Look, I think the reflection piece of Luke as a player, and probably one of the most decorated players to play at West Coast. 2 captains in 2 weeks over the last 10 years have put up stumps, but just the way they've carried themselves. Everyone in the room knows both of these guys, probably closer than anyone because of their public profile. And what you see is what you get. He's love of the game, loves his mates, he loves the club, and loves his family. So, achieved a lot in his time. Unfortunately, probably left a few games on the table with his body, but the games he's played exceptionally and have been the biggest games of his career and the club's career. Outstanding career, premiership player, Smith Medalist, captain of the club. So I'm sure he's pretty content.
Luke was saying when you went round and you said you can still go again if you want to. Can you tell us a little bit about that night and your conversation?
Well, look, when you get to these guys' capacity and a level, I think there's an element of respect about what they want to do. And, there's a club direction, and there's a lot of what Luke does is not on field. So, we're not in the habit of just getting rid of our legends. And, he was always going to make the right decision. So I wanted to not make it so easy on him. And, I think he's made the right call in the end, but I wanted it to be his call.
You're losing not just 2 great players now, you're losing 2 really solid people. How big of a hole does that leave in the club?
It'll leave a hole, but I'm really excited about what we've got with the younger generation coming through, and we've still got some exceptional leaders at the club. So what they've taught this young group already in such a short space of time with the guys that have come into the club in the last 12 to 18 months, I'm sure they'll reflect on these guys. And the old, what would Luke Shuey do right now? I reckon they'll be thinking that in a few years' time when they're hit with similar circumstances he's been through. So, it'll be a lasting legacy.
What do you like most about him, Adam, just as a player?
Stood up in big games. He played his best version on the big stage, and it wasn't selfish. It was just playing his way at maximum capacity, and all we all saw it in the granny. But there was so many games where it was not selfish, but just him at his best. So reading moments in big games is something that's really hard to teach, and you only really learn it through love of the game. And he's such a and I think going into coaching is obvious because he loves the strategic part of the game, and it makes you a better player if you have that approach. So not surprised at all.
Luke, you mentioned you got enough in the tank for the last 3 games. Does that mean you're declaring yourself right to go for the Derby?
I'm still pushing my case.
No.
I didn't.
You're not playing.
I did prioritise last round. So, probably not this week, but aiming to play the last 2, definitely.
Outside of the premiership, Luke, are there any particular games or wins that really stand out for you that you think you'll look back on come the end of the season?
Look, I've always cherished the wins, particularly on the road. I love winning in front of our fans, but the wins on the road when your back's against the wall, against good opposition, and we've had a few of them over the time. The GWS one in 2016, I think Nick kicked a goal on the siren. That springs to mind, and those sorts of games. And it's little things. You sit around the rooms afterwards and talk about with your mates and with your coaches about funny things that happen through the game and big moments, and there's probably more sledging going on after those games than pats on the back, to be honest. But they're the moments that make footy as special as it is, and they're not measurable. There's no statistics for them, but they bring the best times. And we've had some cracking wins over the journey, both at home and away. But but it's the moments around that where you can reflect with your mates and talk about how good you were as a side that make it special.
Luke, do you think come November, when you don't have to wake up on a Monday morning and come in for the start of pre-season, that you'll start to feel that you're really missing? You're going to miss what you've been doing?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I'm content knowing that I've made the right decision, but there'll be times I miss the game. I'll always miss the game, and I'll always miss the game day camaraderie and being able to go compete with your mates and represent something bigger than you. You know, we have 100,000 members, and to feel the weight of them riding on your shoulders every game day was really special. So I don't think I'll ever lose the love of the game day, but for me, the Monday to Friday grind and the time and effort I've put in to try and get my body right has been exhausting. And I've got to be careful what I say, because I've been really lucky over the years to have a good run with injury for most of my career. So I'm not sitting here feeling sorry for myself, but that part of it over the last 3 years has been exhausting. So I'm certainly not going to miss a lot of the Monday to Friday stuff once the season's done. But the competitive nature in us, I'll always miss game day. And I think watching these boys over the next few years, part of me would always love to be out there, but I've been lucky enough to do it for 15 years. That's 15 more than I probably could have ever dreamt of as an 18-year-old.
Beauty. Thank you.